WHIV-LPFM 102.3 and WHIV.org, WHIVFM.org/listen. Good morning, comrades. How y'all doing today?
Good morning.
Today we have Robert.
Hi. You got to be sick of me by now.
Nah, we'll never be sick of you, Robert. I'm going to get rid of this guy. We have Michelle.
The equipment.
Michelle's back.
He owns the means of productions.
So true. I am the boss.
We're going to take over the means of production.
Nope.
Murdering y'all.
We have Scott.
Hi.
And we have joining us for the first time, Sophie.
You know, you're actually on the you're actually listed on the WHIV website.
She was originally a part of the team.
Yeah, it says with Sophie.
We need to add some folks in.
It totally does,
But,
and it's your first time on the mic.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Welcome
guys.
aboard. No, don't be sorry. We're happy to have you here. Don't be sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not even on there. Jeff asked me a question when I was grabbing beers for everybody one day.
Exactly. Little inside baseball. We're actually not at the radio station. We're doing a house show at my house.
If we sound different, then that's why. Because we have different mics, different mixer, different setup entirely.
And if you hear my dog bark, that's why.
It's real life here.
A lot of ambient noise going on, but that's okay.
We're in Robert's bedroom and we're all
boudoir.
drinking beers in the morning.
Coffee.
It is not 7:08 p.m. at all.
Now, we were having a spirited discussion. I guess we should just crack back into that about the DSA.
We love it and it's good.
Yeah, Jeff is really afraid to talk about the DSA because we're all DSA members. That's how we form this socialist podcast that you can find us on WHIV, and then also you can find us everywhere that podcast can be found, tell a friend, all that fun stuff. But, so we're all joining the DSA, I don't know for different reasons, but the reason why I joined the DSA, and I'm not a member of the ISO or any of these other lefty organizations.
ISO ain't there no more.
I know, they gone. Are they really gone? I didn't know that.
So yeah,
tell me about that.
Organization split amongst some scandals with
what?
There was a sexual assault. There was a sexual assault scandal, and then there was also a cover up amongst the leadership. I don't.
Allegedly.
So no, this is all pretty well documented.
Oh.
But I guess.
Okay, whatever.
The president of the organization. Still, the people who are members of it still actually have monthly meetings. They just call themselves New Orleans Socialists. We've actually had some contact with two of the folks from over there that have come to a couple of labor committee meetings.
That's good.
But I mean, like I say, I'm not a sectarian type person. Just as long as we have amicable, comradely discussions, I'm happy to have you.
Yeah. Everybody has. I guess one of the things that. This isn't exactly in line, but I think that all people on the left have the freedom to be wrong. And I'm not talking about sexual assault. There's no line there. But I mean, as far as your praxis, everybody can be wrong. But as long as your comrades come at you at a place of
good faith.
Yeah, good faith, you can be wrong. And when you take that and they're like, hey, this is why you're wrong, take that, absorb it, and move on.
I remember that exact phrase being among the first things that were ever mentioned at a DSA gathering is to take your comrades with good faith.
Right. And that's why I joined the DSA and not anything else is because the DSA actually gets stuff done to where, there's a lot of leftist organizations that rail about this and that. And they're like, oh, the DSA, they're just they're
doing charity by doing brick lights or whatever.
Yeah, they're basically liberals, and they've got so much bureaucracy. But DSA is actually doing things. And I hate to dunk on y'all know what organizations I'm talking about. And I don't want to call them out by name, but there comes a time where you're sitting in your coffee shop, stroking your beard and twirling your beret, and you're not doing anything. So. I just remember having meetings with people, and they were like, "Well, we need a protracted people's war, and we need this, and we need that, and we got to have all the people come together." And I'm like, "Well, what do you? Okay, so what are you talking about?
Anything but engaging with politics,
right? Anything exactly? You nailed it. So anything but engaging with politics." And I'm like, "So when are we marching on City Hall? When are we marching on? When are we occupying?
Well, I think
State
the
House.
movement. I think everyone. There's been a slow growth of movement of getting more and more people involved, and we're all tired of just having meetings to talk about stuff that we've read or Praxis or anything.
Sure.
Like that. It's like, okay, how do we actually like do
Right, and that's what these other organizations. I'd be like, well, when are we occupying City Hall? And they'd be like, well, no, then I don't know what you're talking about. That's what you're leading up to. So if we're just sitting around here saying capitalism is bad, that's not getting any. And 25 cents is get you a phone. Won't even get your phone call anymore. What are we talking?
Let me push back on it a little bit in the sense that like reading group, and I'm not even saying that you're not saying this, but like reading groups are good. So far as they organize people and they educate people, but there has to be a certain functionality towards it. You need to be building towards something, creating a movement. So one of the things that we're pushing forward, that I'm kind of putting together with some folks, is a reading group of the book. And we're gonna have an upcoming interview with him on a future episode. Eric Blanc, who's the author of Red State Revolt, which is a book about the teacher strikes that took place in West Virginia, Oklahoma, and Arizona last spring, spring of 2018. And I would like to get a reading group assembled with teacher types and people who are interested in building the labor movement. Not even necessarily like the labor movement, like a movement that would advocate for teachers and children and public schools, and have that be sort of like a flashpoint where folks will come together and create an organizing situation where we can learn from the experience that took place in these places, good and bad, and we can start to build that movement here. So I think that there is a lot of function towards that part of the reading groups, but I know what you're saying as well, and I'm not saying that you're like saying that this is not the case, but I think that we need to be careful in how we criticize these things.
And that goes into my point is like Jeff is on the labor committee of DSA New Orleans, and you heard him just say that he's actually like working with people to get stuff done. No, there's nothing wrong with reading groups. Like, there's nothing wrong with reading groups at all.
I remember at the event, didn't Eric Blanc, isn't that how like this strike wave started? Is with like a DSA book club?
So there were some DSA members involved in the leadership of like the formations that created the strikes, but a lot of that happened on the ground organizing. There were some sort of like social media type organizing, and they were able to link up a network statewide, and that's one of the really impressive things about. And now that we're talking about Red State Revolt, but one of the really impressive things about how the strikes took place is Oklahoma, Arizona, and West Virginia. All three of those strikes, for better or for worse, were A, in red states, and B, they were statewide walkouts. And they were, so for the most part, 99, maybe not 90%, but for the most part, they were supported by the community, supported by parents, supported by the people who had to watch their kids who weren't in school for the time that the teachers took off, and they went to the Capitol, and they refused to use their labor. They withheld their labor to get concessions.
Well, that's the thing. People are it's very hard to like just not go to work and strike because everyone is living paycheck to paycheck. So it's like. You have to be able to give people support. So that's where the community comes in. That's where unions come in, to where it's like you can withstand maybe losing a paycheck or something in order to fight for the cause. Otherwise, people just kind of put their heads down and just go to work every day and just, I know I do, because it's like, I can't miss work. I can't miss pay. Yeah. I don't think anyone in here can miss pay.
It needs to be an empowering situation that creates the possibility for it to be. Yes, there needs to be mutual support for one another before these things can happen. It's literally a prerequisite for this.
I would love a general strike. There's so many things to general strike about, but yeah, I'd be worried about not having a job when I come back.
It can't be one of these feel-good moments where you have a march. Because I'm just going to poop on marches. I think they're great. No, I think, this woman led a march. She can great. It was poop on marches. Don't poop on the march. It was exhilarating when all of these marches and stuff were happening. That's a very privileged thing to say, that it was exhilarating. Because a lot of people previous to us had to march with the potential of dying. So I don't think people really recognize that, and I think marches have become sort of like a weekend thing. Well, you know what? Like the people with the means they know that you're going to go home after that.
That's correct.
They can ignore you. So no, there needs to be more community support. We have to get rid of this rugged individualism, this false narrative that we've been fed our whole life that, you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That's not real. That's physically impossible.
Yeah, I only have shoelaces. They don't make
I got boots, but they're torn up. No, for real. Like, there needs to be community support. The bootstrap. I've been pulling up my bootstraps for too long. So, yeah, I don't know. Strikes are great, but we need community support.
No, and I want to circle back just a sec why I got a thing in my head about reading groups. Yeah, and I didn't mean to.
No, I know what you meant.
I know, but I just want to make it. I want to make it completely clear that I probably need to be in some of those reading groups, and back to good faith actors. It's like you don't need to have read Capital by Karl Marx. You don't need to to join your local DSA.
It don't hurt.
It doesn't hurt at all. It's great education. You should always, with anything, you should be trying to educate yourself and learn new things. But I mean, on this show, you're probably going to hear me say like dumb things, and that's okay. So push back at me on the dumb things, and I will accept that. But
in good faith and in a
yeah, exactly fashion. In good faith. I
don't even say you said anything dumb.
No, what I mean is I come at this from a place of America is the richest empire that's ever been. People are homeless. There's no reason why that should be. People are underpaid, overworked. People can't get health care in a place that was more.
All of my I have
richest empire ever.
I have several friends right now, and it breaks my heart. They have ailments that are serious. One of them has walking pneumonia right now.
Yeah.
And she's about to have to drop $200 just on meds, alone. And then the doctors basically made her come 2 or 3 times to the office to even get the medicine. So that's a racket in itself. Let's just call our current healthcare system, it's just a racket. It's exploitative. Yeah, well, I mean, when you're going to charge me $30 for an IV bag when I know that it's $5 if you really look at what you're paying for, that's BS.
Right, and you see what she just said there? She just broke that down. That is a real problem that affects working people, and you don't have to have read Slavoj Žižek or even know who that is to understand these things and to talk to people about them.
Man, I really appreciate you guys for never giving me homework.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's a good response, right? I feel like people don't have very much time in their day, and I know I'm generalizing and I make a lot of assumptions on this show, but a lot of people don't have a lot of time. I'm trying to read Capital, right? I'm trying, and that's like daunting because I feel like for some reason I should sort of know it because there's this pressure. Well, I think we need to remove that pressure that you need to have all of this previous knowledge.
Also,
like
book thick.
We're not gatekeeping. It's kind of like getting mad at the kid who's like, I love this band, and you're like, why don't you know everything about them? It's like, I wasn't even born then. So we have to stop gatekeeping and we have to make things accessible to the working class because that's the point.
It's like, yeah, you like this kind of music, huh? What's your top 10 favorite albums? Like by The Clash or whatever.
Yeah.
No, you probably just listen to the greatest hits of Marx, man.
You don't know nothing about Lenin.
No, and anybody who comes to you like that, or it's a difference between somebody saying, "Hey, have you read this? Like, give this a shot," or "Have you heard this philosopher or this economist?" But somebody like Michelle said is gatekeeping. Throw that out the window. They are not. They're ridiculous. They're not an ally. They're not. No.
I think what happened is now the left has always been this beautiful spectrum of people of different classes, different levels. You have the intellectual sort of people who have read Capital.
You are listening to WHIVLP New Orleans, WHIVFM.org/listen. End all wars in Chuck Todd and concentration camps.
Chuck Todd.
Chris Hayes too.
Chris Hayes is like more pardonable than Chuck Todd, I suppose.
Well, he's not on like TV on Sunday.
No, and he doesn't have a giant audience. He kind of is a bit of a left gatekeeper.
I'm gonna
discourse gatekeeper in a certain way. He was definitely playing discourse gatekeeper when it came to calling the concentration camps that we have at the border concentration camps. So who's Chris Hayes, by the way?
He's Rachel Maddow's body double, right? Like they're twins, right? They're the same person. That's correct,
I don't
right?
think he's like as conspiratorial on Russia.
They got the
and
same
stuff.
glasses.
They do.
What happened to Rachel Maddow, though?
They are
Seriously, I
glasses
don't know.
siblings. She's a rose.
It's like that
no,
scene-
she's not fine.
It's like that scene in Ray Charles when like all the people that used to be in his band are like, he gone middle of the road.
No, she's absolutely not fine. Like she was a good journalist, and then like the stuff she did on Flint was really good. And I remember she used to be on Air America. That's
Trump
like,
broke
I mean,
everybody's brains.
Yeah,
That's what happened.
like she just
He made
lost her
everybody stupid.
mind. Maybe you know what though?
Even like a Rhodes Scholar, like Rachel
when she
Maddow.
wrote
There's so
that
much
weird book
opportunity.
about like military, not military.
Drift. I've read it. I actually
Yeah,
read it,
tell me
read the
about that book because maybe that's I
So-
just blinded myself to that. I should have been like, "What are you doing, lady?"
Did you read it?
No, is it good? It's like a pro-military thing, though. It's like a jingoistic thing, or no?
Not really. It was more like along the lines of, well, this is where the U.S. military lost its way, and it all started with Vietnam, or maybe it started with Korea, and it sort of puts together this like extremely like modern narrative that this is where it all went wrong. When the Vietnam War happened in the Gulf of Tonkin, that was bad. The world, but the Greatest Generation
really?
was good.
Thanks, Rachel.
And then so essentially like it's a very Brokawyan approach. You know what I mean when I say like Tom
Greatest
Brokaw?
Generation thing?
Yeah. So like the military was noble before like even the Korean War was a well-intentioned thing or whatever.
That's when
That's the American romanticism about previous wars.
But when Nixon got in charge, that was bad. And then when Reagan did it, it was beyond the pale.
Well, like we
And
have the
then
world famous World War II museum here, and I understand we're in America. And
they don't
blah,
talk
blah,
about
blah.
the Eastern Front, baby.
No, they don't. They don't stop at how the Russians did the heavy lifting.
I mean, Russia ended the war.
Yeah.
The U.S.
The
was like,
Stalingrad exhibit.
should we? No, we're gonna wait, and then they swooped in and took all the credit.
well,
It's very true.
I was watching something recently and it was talking about how like that was their big like play against Hitler. They're like, oh yeah, you're doing okay in this war against Russia, but like, what if we had two fronts? Like, and that's what like D-Day was.
Well, see, Russia just knew. Oh, well, keep coming into Russia. You're just gonna freeze.
And in a very real sense, like Stalin did not give a single
Oh,
like wit about a single one of his soldiers.
No, and
they were just material.
like,
Right.
He had
We're not praising Stalin, but we're just talking as far
No,
as
not at
war
all.
strategy. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, Russia won the war.
he had
It's
like
just-
he had like the most important like thing to an army, which is poor people who need like money somehow.
I mean, on the march to
Hey, that's
Berlin,
America.
yeah, and on the march to Berlin, the Soviets they perpetrated war crimes out this world, but they won that war. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it was like two
they won the war.
evils. It was like Hitler versus Stalin. I mean,
Yeah.
pick one. Pooping on anybody, all the veterans or anything like that. Like what they did. Like, I mean, could you imagine? Like, I'm gonna leave this boat, go through this cold water with all of these bullets coming towards me.
absolutely, it's crazy.
and still maybe live through that.
crazy.
I mean, America. I mean, the military complex has always preyed upon poor people because here you can have an education, but I mean, you went to Japan.
Yeah.
Like either education, like some sort of way to get out of where you're from, or to travel the world. I mean,
Well, we talked about this on the live show that we just did hours ago. We talked about how
Lost episode.
I won. Yeah, I completely lucked out on the wheel of military misfortune, where you spin that wheel and I hit the jackpot. I hit the, I got to travel where I wanted to travel. No harm ever came to me. I got out right after 9/11. So, don't join the military because chances are you're not going to be as lucky as I was.
No. Actually, if you do join, you're just going to be painting the wall right now. Have you?
I
seen
mean,
that?
you could
painting.
I mean,
they're
you
painting the existing wall that's on the border right now.
play around if you want to when you're humping over to Iran because they're lying about going to war. I'm supposed to feel
Just
bad
leave
about
other
it.
countries alone.
Yeah,
seriously.
at worst,
What's going on in Iran?
well, most likely, okay, deep
Who's
breath.
John Bolton?
Deep breath. So the Iranians supposedly, in air quotes, shot down a drone, and now I'm supposed to boo-hoo about a drone getting shot down,
Shoot
if
down
that
more
even
drones.
what happened.
Press F to show respect.
Yeah,
for the
so
drone.
respect for the drone. And the American military's overreaching again.
Dude, we would shoot down a drone if it was in our
in
airspace.
international
If
waters.
there was a drone in this room, I would shoot it.
Yeah.
Hey
I'd
man,
probably try and catch them.
hey man, you don't know what that drone's family's going through right now.
I mean, the good thing, the only silver lining,
Dude,
the only silver
drones
lining
can be turned on
is-
us, so just keep that in mind.
the only silver lining is that this is so close to Iraq and Afghanistan to where people aren't buying it. They're not buying the march to war. When that ship got
Good.
not hit by that.
It's just these like failed. It's just like bad where you're like, oh, bless their heart, they're trying to start a war again.
Nah, it's really no. I'm actually terrified.
Bless their heart. Like,
I'm
I
actually
hope you
absolutely.
mean, like, F you, bless their heart.
I'm actually absolutely terrified.
You're right, because I think the rest of the world shows that or sees that America is not the powerhouse that we used to be as far as the military is concerned.
Right.
Like we just carry a big stick, but we have a complete goober behind
Well,
the big stick now.
we're building this new fraudulent case for war because we've had fraudulent cases all through history. The Maine got us
Always with
into the Spanish American War. Gulf of Tonkin was a lie that got us into the Vietnam War. Weapons of mass destruction got us into the Iraq War, and now we're building this bogus case to go to Iran. And Iran ain't no
what happened-
Iraq.
So what happened here? So what set this up?
Well, I think it all started with the nuclear deal, and how Iran was trying. Iran's like, okay,
So,
I've been
yeah.
I've been
Ooh.
following. Yeah, that's where it all started. Iran's been doing the thing that the treaty or whatever they decided. I'm not very good.
Here's the
with
thing
words.
about that, though.
But Trump's like, you know what? I don't like Iran anymore. We're gonna just take it away.
Nah, see, this is what here's the really super cynical take. Here's the thing that you're missing. If you look
Spit
through
that
history,
fire.
spitting hot, fiery takes, all the nation states that played ball with us and did what what we asked them to do as far as denuclearize. Saddam Hussein, we want your weapons of mass destruction. Okay, here they are. We got rid of them all. Great, now we're going to invade you.
Yeah, you don't think they see that?
Yeah.
You don't think they see
that
that's
is
not a
some
cynical
hot
take.
fire.
That's the right take.
Right.
That is the correct take. So when you were worried about saying things dumb before, you just said something smart. And that's exactly right. So when you don't have, like, as a state, when you don't have a nuke, and like the U.S., so when you have a nuke, you basically have immunity from getting bullied around by the U.S. because they ain't gonna worry about, like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You might bomb New York or something, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
You alright, man? You got cold?
Proof and evidence of that. I mean,
Phenomenon.
and not a good guy. Not a good guy. Omar Gaddafi died in a ditch because guess what? Libya denuclearized.
Yep.
And then
look at what Libya looks like now.
Exactly, and that's how we got
Look
ISIS.
at what Yemen looks like now.
Now,
We're trying to do the same thing with Venezuela right now.
which one of our enemies has nukes, or at least is trying to build nukes? And North Korea. Trump just had a little handhold session in Vietnam with him.
Well, that completely failed. But
Yeah.
you know what they're doing now? They're getting in cahoots with China, and you know what? China's going to take over the world, guys.
Well, they already have.
They
I
already
mean,
have.
they already have
and
in
they're,
Africa.
They're actually, yeah.
They're doing it through Africa.
No,
They're-
Korea's like, okay, well, if I can't talk with the U.S., right? If that's going to fall through, then let me talk to somebody on the mainland who's actually like becoming a lot more like financially, like they're kind of, well, they already rule the world. They make we buy everything from China and Mexico.
Well, that's what Jeff and I were talking about. Their play, China's play right now, and man, I guess I do know a lot about geopolitics. I just think I don't. Their play right now is to recolonize Africa, dump all this money into Africa, so they control all the rare earth minerals that go into
Whole can,
computer.
baby.
They go into cellular phones, computer processors,
Well, 'cause
whatnot.
they don't need Apple, right? They already have. See, they're like, you look at companies like Apple. They're not actually doing good in those countries because China's. I can't remember the names of these other companies, but China's basically growing their own base.
Well, it's not Apple's nothing.
The markets
Like,
are not open to Western
Let's-
capital.
If you want to talk about that, Apple's nothing. All they do is make design, like any other. Any
They
other
charge
company.
more and give you less.
Well,
Like I
that's-
don't
yeah,
even want to
I hate
upgrade
App-
because I don't want to lose my headphone jack.
I hate Apple products, but that's not even what I mean. Is they're making the designs for phones or whatever, but they're not making the guts. The guts are coming from
making
companies
software.
like Foxconn, and those are the
Where a
companies.
slave will make your motherboard.
Exactly.
Where what?
So
Where a slave will
Foxconn
make your
essentially
motherboards.
is a play like it's a company that spans multiple countries, and
Tried to put a factory in Wisconsin.
they're the ones that had like the workers like in very tall high-rise buildings, and they would have suicide nets around the buildings so that if people try to jump out the window, they get caught.
Correctamundo.
So essentially, it's sweatshops. Essentially, it's modern-day sweatshops. I mean, not that they ever went away. They were always there, and they've always been there, and they always. Well, they won't hope. God willing, they will not always be there, and we can like provide justice internationally for that. But by doing that, we need to make sure that we have an international labor movement to do it, and we need to make it so that these people are not in such peril anytime that they stick their neck out in even the least amount of way.
I mean, like Magdalena asylums happened. Like they stopped doing this in like the 90s, and like nobody from the Catholic Church went to jail.
I mean, going back to my original point though with North Korea, and I kind of lost my train of thought, but the idea is North Korea. So I believe this is all true. I believe it's all true that the American media, American press, gasses us up and says that North Korea's got buku human rights violations. They do all this stuff that's terrible for their people. They're a rogue nation, blah blah blah. And
some of that may be true, but that does not necessarily even mean that you have to follow it with, well, we need to displace this government, because that will definitely make the situation better.
Here's the thing, though, Jeff. They're not even doing that.
No,
they're going, well, can't do nothing about it because they're over there working on nuclear weapons. So as soon as a country says, you know what, we're not playing ball with you, America, North Korea is showing the way for all these other countries to say, no, we're going to build nukes, and if you want to trade Pyongyang for LA, we can do it today.
Do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
It's a dare.
And you know what we do? We go, what?
And then backing down.
Right. So this is a hot, spicy take. As soon as Iran and I'm not saying they should have done it. End all nukes, get the nukes out of here. No more wars. Blah blah blah.
But as soon
as they did that, as soon as they said, "Okay, we will do this deal with you and stop building refining uranium or whatnot. We'll stop enriching uranium. We'll stop our nuclear weapons program." That put them on the path to war with the United States. I believe that 100%.
That's actually not far-fetched take at all, because when there is, but I guess the idea that there is the entire Security Council and multiple nations were involved in this kind of deal, which, by the way, the nations that were involved were multiple U.S. allies and plus China. It would be silly to think that this would not be leveraged against Iran in the long run. Now, at the same time, if you're Iran and if you're like a regular Iranian citizen, and by the way, going to war with Iran would be awful, and we shouldn't do it. And
this is not it at the middle of the mall type country. Yeah. This is like legit. This is like they're
an organized state and everything else.
Right.
But anyway, so Iran was coming off of like very harsh economic sanctions by the U.S. and the EU and Western governments, and that was causing a lot of instability and a lot of like peril for the working class, and that is a radicalizing force. Like the fact that you can't get whatever goods you need to get to survive. So you see this in Venezuela because the U.S. blacks them off.
People are dying. People are literally dying because they can't get food or their medicine.
And so as a result, that's going to be, you can go either one or two ways. You can fall in line and break with the people who are doing this to you and capitulate, which is what happened originally with the Iran deal, even though that was actually a pretty good deal for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, when I say that I don't mean they shouldn't have done that. It was the right thing to do. But if you just look back at history of countries
at the same time, like you're giving away your trump card,
right?
To not to be too on the nose about it.
Yeah,
we say ace in the hole now.
It's a joker. He's got a joker that he's keeping in the back pocket, up the sleeve, perhaps. You are listening to WHIV-LP New Orleans 102.3. WHIVFM.org/listen.
That was really quiet and low. That was weird. Why did you do that? Why are you whispering?
But is this the moody part of the show?
It's ASMR?
It's an ASMR podcast now.
Socialist ASMR. I should do that. dude. I'm gonna make
the ASMR is socialism.
You're gonna make that money. So which one of y'all gonna do it? Y'all can do
We
it
could
together.
do ASMR where we read Capital.
Just
to
read
people.
Capital.
Yes.
No, that's happening. Stop it.
Next podcast.
You know we got a Twitch channel, right? We're doing that.
Let's do it.
We're gonna read Capital and do ASMR Capital.
I don't know what ASMR means.
You see ASMR?
What is that?
It's like when it's the whole idea of like certain sounds make you
Well, the
tingle
whole
or
point
whatever.
is you're supposed to put in, make sure you've got headphones in, right? Because what the people
Like I do.
what the people do is like they'll scratch on the microphone, or like people will cut sand. It's just look up ASMR, put some headphones on, close your eyes, and it tickles your brain. And that's what's it legit tickles your brain because of the sound.
It's an internet phenomenon in the sense that like there's a ASMR subculture, and there are like multiple different sort of eddies. And I'm definitely not like ASMR shaming folks because I think it's actually pretty cool. It's not my. I mean, like
my fiance's really into it. She listens to it like every night. She has her favorite ASMR people on YouTube or whatever.
I wouldn't know where to start. Like, so here's the reason I'm not in the ASMR, and it's that I don't know where to start with ASMR.
Well, they had a weird backlash against ASMR because like YouTube.
There were jokes
Like,
about it, but I think some of it was
like-
good faith and some of it was really like nasty.
Yeah, like a lot of like the criticism was like sex worker.
Man, get your money, girls. Who cares?
Because like girls would just like go there and like do the lispy sounds like I have a lisp, but
Well, of course.
unless you're also into like ASMR, listen to people slurp spaghetti, like that's like
I mean, of course, that's what's happening.
Maybe
Without a
people
doubt.
are into that.
Like we joke about all the time. Like my fiance listens to this Russian woman, and she like has to put her headphones in because I would just be sitting there in bed with her, and I'll hear it, and I'll just go,
I know, right?
Well,
okay.
so this is just something people do to like relax.
So there's like a stimulation that can happen when, for some people,
I can
that
see listening to like somebody step on crunchy leaves for
is exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Like it's these very
that's what
specific
it is.
sounds that trigger like a dopamine release
Like,
in your
rather than doing it
brain.
myself, but
like
No, somebody's doing it for you.
The original, I guess the original idea is kind of like when you're trying to go to sleep, you put like ocean sounds on. Except
Right.
it's like different moods you can be in, and like
Well, and a lot of it is some of it will do like guided meditation and whatnot.
it's cool.
Ah, and she just
yeah, why
Tickles.
do we only get to listen to the ocean or whatever? They're all
just wanna
kinds
hear-
of-
So
Here's
you are volunteering to
Yeah,
do
like-
our because we have a Twitch channel and
have
Twitch
an
has an ASMR category.
We have an ASMR
So-
correspondent now.
We're gonna get you on the ASMR train and you're gonna read
Oh my
Das
God.
Capital.
Can I start just recording weird sounds too?
Yeah,
Totally.
that's
Like,
what
you
people do.
get
They go
full-
click.
you get
They like
full-
tap the mic.
I already
You
did
get
actually.
full
I'm
journalistic and editorial freedom in
No, but
this.
seriously.
It's so crazy. No,
feel
that's
like-
what's
What
happening.
would
It's
the
almost
sound
like-
of a general strike sound like?
Oh my god!
I feel like
this is happening.
I feel like it's kind of like
We got the Red Army sounds of marching
Sophie, will
down
you go
the
like
streets.
full bore with this though? Like, will you wear
Capturing the
will you
means
wear
of
like a
production.
trapper hat with a red star on it while you're doing it? You're gonna get a lot of weirdo dudes like watching you do it, but still, it doesn't matter. We're doing it for the clicks.
Doing it for the clips.
Will you do this?
Oh, it's a video.
Poor thing doesn't even know
I
what
mean, yeah.
ASMR is yet.
I know.
No, you're
I'm
doing
so
it. You're
confused
doing
right
it.
now.
You're doing it. You're doing it. That's all it is. But yeah, but honest to God, about the whole. But you said about the whole sex work thing, like whatever. Like, get your money, girl. Like, I
Yeah.
don't. Who cares? Like, I'm on Twitch. I mean, I watch Twitch a lot, and the whole thing with like girls wearing low cut shirts or whatever, and dudes giving them money to watch them. I don't know, do jumping jacks and play Mario Kart.
Hey, man,
I'm
you
like,
got
that's not
dudes.
my thing. But like, if you can get a lonely nerd to give you some cash for that, like, go for
Man,
it.
there's
Like,
nothing wrong. The's no shame in the game.
Get
If
that
someone's
money.
gonna throw you some money, I'm not gonna shame
I mean,
you one bit.
like a lot of that sex work is like paying someone to make you feel the feelings you want to feel. Like,
sure.
yeah,
And until we have like full,
It's
like,
not real gamers. Who
Well,
cares?
and, like I guess people are gonna have to do the hustle no matter what they're hustling. If it's sorry to make it heavy, but like as long as
No, it's cool.
as long as capitalism's in place and people need to sell their labor
Right.
or they need to essentially commodify something that they're doing, or it's going to happen.
Bro,
And we
if
need-
you
Work
think
is the oldest
exactly,
work.
if you think like
in a sense, that's how they like discouraged it. Like they demonetized their pages and
absurd.
like,
Yeah.
took down stuff.
YouTube is a dumpster fire and it needs to be canceled yesterday. I hate YouTube so much. We're on YouTube, by the way. Good morning, comrade. But like, Also, we have
just hate
Patreon. Please support our Patreon. That's how we keep the lights on.
Also, there's a surprisingly amount of Nickelodeon guts on YouTube.
That's dank, though. That's dank. I like Nickelodeon guts.
Do you have it?
But I hate YouTube with a passion. That whole Carlos Maza thing.
Why?
Oh, you haven't heard about that? Okay.
No.
Oh, let me school you a little bit. So there's a fascist, homophobic, racist named Steven Crowder, who has been dogging this journalist out.
Vox journalist. His name. He writes for Vox. He does a lot of like Vox does a lot of technocratic sort of like splaining articles, which is fine. I mean, it's a thing that exists. But Steven Crowder.
No, he's terrible. But the thing is, he's been like being homophobic against this guy who's gay.
Targeted him.
And his followers are targeting him or whatever. And YouTube doesn't want to do anything about it, but they want to pop that. They want to pop that rainbow flag for the play button, and then they want to demonetize like legitimate LGBTQ content and people who are just like, "Hey, I'm trans. Like, this is my life." They're like, "Demonetize. You can't make any money off of
It's
this."
June. Let's slap a rainbow. I hate that.
Yeah.
I swear. Around Pride, that's all you could see. And I mean, like all this. Hell, on AT&T when I went to pay my bill, the stupid AT&T logo is a freaking rainbow. I almost wanted to punch my screen. I hate it because it's just now it's cool. It's safe. And it's an okay thing to make.
You're right. My only critique on that is make sure you separate the workers who are LGBTQ from the company, because if they're probably like, oh, it's nice that like at least on the out front I have a safe space to work and people aren't going to fire me for being queer.
I think it's a mixed bag. I mean, when you talk to the community, it's a mixed bag. A lot. Well, that's the thing. Well, it's like the corporations are slapping the rainbow flag because they know it's going to get them money. Right. I mean, that's.
But I mean, like if you go to. What I'm saying is separate. So
Chick-fil-A now has a rainbow flag.
Yeah. AT&T's terrible for that. Everything you said is 100% correct.
Proceeds are going to go during the month.
I feel like that would be actually a real victory.
I don't think it would ever happen.
No,
the only reason that they would ever do it would be the most cynical purposes.
Everything you're saying, Michelle, is 100% correct about that. AT&T, terrible. All those companies, terrible. But what I'm saying is, if like in our local Pride, where if AT&T has a float or something, and those workers that are out there wearing their AT&T rainbow flag shirts, I feel for them. Because the workers are like, they're out there because they want to be there, not because the company is like making them be there.
Definitely ain't the workers' fault.
I mean, LGBT people still do face a lot of employment discrimination.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Of course.
100% legal discrimination.
I mean, at least if they like made some money off my sexuality, at least give me like a 25% discount for that month.
Well, it is a victory in a way.
See,
but
some companies will give a percentage of proceeds like during the month for sales, right? That's fine, that's great. But it's these companies like AT&T or Google, I don't know, like these other people who just slap a rainbow flag or they make a rainbow shoe for that.
Yeah, month. It's queer washing.
It's
terrible.
Like that's all. It's not helping to make anybody safer or make their life. Like what will make, instead of slapping a flag on it, like let's give free healthcare. Like I don't know, maybe that could help people. But that's a rant for next time. What was Sophie saying?
Oh, I don't know. I was just thinking
that in a sense, even if they find, and I actually agree with what you're saying, even if they're so this is what it sounded like you were saying to me, that even if they're being extremely cynical, there is at least some sort of rhetorical ground that they're ceding. They're kind of giving up like the fact of openly and outwardly being like homophobic or whatever, even in this sort of commodification of these. This queer washing or whatever, that at least there's some concession that's being done on their part.
Yeah, I mean,
limited though it is.
Limited evidence of like things are changing, but still, I don't know. I guess this whole thing about like identity politics and I don't know. I guess my brain's going more. I don't know. How do you tie this into capitalism? And
it's just one more. Capitalism has seen queer people as just one more demographic to commodify. Just one more. Their money spends like everybody else.
Well, and that with hip hop, it's happened. It happened with anything that was either underground or oppressed once there starts to be moving to where it's cool or I guess acceptable. But I mean, there's mixed views in the community as well. It's like a lot of people are happy that there is so much visibility, right?
Right.
And
you got me.
And it has opened the discourse, and it's actually like put it straight in front of people's faces to where you can't deny it. And I think that there's a lot of positivity to that. The problem that I have is when companies are making a buck off of it and they're not even giving any sort of proceeds back to the community.
Correct, Amundo.
So to that point, actually, is that they want. So they're doing it for the reason of cashing in, but they also want the social capital and the social credit for having done it. Now, again, it's definitely better than the situation where, you know, they're extremely like openly, particularly hostile, like openly hostile to, you know, LGBTQIA plus you know folks, but it's almost like they can exonerate themselves from in a moral sense while not changing a single actual practice.
I think
but it is a rhetorical concession, and it does open the door for actual real change.
Yeah, these are good conversations to have, because we were talking about the other day of going back to something like we love video games. I love video games, and we're talking about
Nintendo.
Bernie Sanders wants video game creators to unionize. Developers to unionize, because video game developers have horrendous working conditions. They're working in like virtual sweatshops. Like they're doing like 80+ hour weeks. It's crazy.
But they have a beer tap and a slide and a ball pit at their work.
Well, Nintendo came out with a stance of the new Animal Crossing game, which everybody's been waiting on, is going to be delayed because Nintendo doesn't want to enter what's called crunch. And in the gaming world of crunch means y'all are sleeping in the office for the next 3 months because we have a deadline to hit and we have to get this game out. So forget about your life, forget about anything. Nintendo has literally said, we make things that, this is from their press release, the reason why this game is being delayed is because we make things that put smiles on people's faces. We cannot have our workers without smiles on their faces making something that's supposed to make people happy. Now, that's a very diplomatic corporate speak way, because they want to hold on to that family-friendly capital that they have, that family-friendly image.
They're video game Disney.
Yeah, they're video game Disney, which Bernie Sanders got Disney workers paid as well. And it's very interesting to me that we as a society, our little leftist band, has pushed some companies to where men in boardrooms are now making decisions. They're running the numbers and are saying, getting this product out faster is not worth the bad press blowback that we're going to get. So we're actually going to do the right thing. They're not doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. They're doing it because it's beneficial to them.
Well, it's the second form of currency. You know, you've got the monetary currency and you have the social currency.
I mean, it's almost like why they don't have like any queer people in the Marvel movies is because like, oh, we can't sell this movie at places that are like not as in like
China,
where people are crazy homophobic. You know?
Disney,
they'll put all that stuff on, but like they won't let Cap and Falcon kiss or some.
But then also like Disney World used to have unofficial. They used to have unofficial Pride, and then they used to have unofficial like gay people just took over Disney World, and then Disney said, oh, well, because society's moving this way, not for any good reason, they're like, there's money to be made here, so let's just make it official.
Exactly.
And so now it's an official thing. So I don't know, like, I don't want to do jumping jacks and spin kicks and say that's like, we won, we did it.
Spin kicks, please.
I know. We did it. Woo!
I think it's not just that there's money to be made, but that it doesn't threaten capital or something, too, at the same time.
Yes. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
So there's a way that there's a like an onboarding of these different identities, which, I mean, I guess, again, it's better than isolating and persecuting these various identities as well, right? But it's sort of like this is a concession that capitalism is willing to make, and it will make that sort of a concession on these terms. Which, by the way, like again, It's super duper like fraud, because you don't want to say like, well, actually I think that capitalism should be abolished and that like, you know, like LGBTQIA plus people should be persecuted. I'm not saying that at all.
Of course.
But like the thing is that it is something that capitalism adapts to, and that malleability maintains the exploitations. Go. So the malleability within capitalism actually does a lot to sort of perpetuate the systems of class oppression between boss and worker. So again, that malleability is good on an immediate like triage level, and even in a very long-term level for people who are amongst these things. And again, you can't. It's really tough because there's a lot of division on the left on the idea of like, well, this is a class reductionist thing and that's a identity reductionist thing, and like it can't be just this or that. There's almost got to be like a spectrum that slides into one another. You know, it's almost like the the political orientation chart with that's the four quadrants.
Right. No, I get that. I look at it, I would even reduce that. I would look at it as, this might not be the perfect analogy, but almost a guerrilla war. And so that is not the most perfect victory, but we take it and we build on it.
Yeah.
And if we can move these people, with capital in this one instance, then that is a win. That is a good thing.
That's the idea behind a lot of the left's essentially non-reformist reforms, sort of like the social democratic left. The idea of like Medicare for all is something that would change. Like it's a reform in a true sense. On one hand, but on the same sense, it undermines the structures that hold oppression in place.
Right.
And those, I mean, specifically with healthcare and Medicare for all, those structures that are being undermined are material. And so what I mean to say by that is the money that you have and the things that you can purchase and the power that you have as a person, as any individual person, and by extension, the entire working class have, is because the thing that defines the working class is the fact that they're in the similar material situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, by being in this position, they are, in removing so essentially, if you had Medicare for all, healthcare for all, you are taking a solid section of what people don't get. You're saving them a shootload of money, slam-a-llama ding-dong of money, and they are able to use that for different resources. So you're using the economy of scale to transfer, take out the profit motive of an entire. What is it? It's almost like a fifth of the economy or a sixth of the economy, which is a sixth of the money that working people have. If you don't have to go and do a GoFundMe to survive, you're taking taking a huge section of precarity off the table for working people.
Right. And dealing with companies, dealing with corporations, so we all buy things, we all exist in this capitalist economy, whether we want to or not. That's what we're doing. And I think I can reduce that down. I remember when, this is the attitude you should have. This is the correct praxis. When Nike was running those Colin Kaepernick ads, and everybody was mad about,
not in Cannery wasn't.
Yeah, all these reactionaries were like, Colin Kaepernick, blah blah blah, this and that. And then you had liberals going, oh my God, Nike's the best thing. Oh my God, Nike just saved Nike ended racism. Both sides are
wrong,
endlessly stupid, endlessly stupid. The correct response is, I need a new pair of shoes. I'm in the shoe store. I pick up shoe A. I go, oh, that's a nice shoe. Kind of want that. I pick up shoe B. Oh, this is kind of nice shoe. Oh, it's Nike. They did a Colin Kaepernick thing. I'll take it.
Yeah,
that's the only feelings you should have about it.
Yeah, but I guess they do want some social credit, and they don't deserve zero social credit, even though they're being entirely opportunist.
Right, of course.
Yeah, they're being they're being more materialist than a lot of socialists are.
But all that happened is some HR person or somebody ran the numbers and said, this is safe to do now, guys, and you know what? It'll make our profits X.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's still a minor victory in the guerrilla war.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm not trying to shit on that.
I know.
Bah!
It's because it all started with the pride discussion where, because I think we view it as for what it is. Like, we can see behind the curtain. Like, we're not like these liberals who are like, Nike's ending, they're ending racism. Right. We see the motives, right? And it doesn't necessarily fix the problem, but it, like you said, it does kind of, I wouldn't even say alleviate, but it brings it a little bit further in front of people who may have not thought about it or might have been on the fence about Kaepernick, and then they got to think about it and they're like, oh, I like Nike, or maybe I'll not buy Nike anymore. I don't know. I'm gonna go on
New
Balance.
I'm gonna go on Twitter and like burn my Nike shoes.
Yeah. I think that it is very interesting. We definitely have like a rise of white nationalism and white supremacy. So
Agreed.
It is good to combat it there, and I'm glad that they're doing that. But also, what I think is actually what really pisses me off is like the
grind your gears, Sophie.
You know what really bothers me? It does alleviate in a way. It's the moderate white or the white liberal or something. Like that.
The Joe Biden.
Yeah, and the Democratic Party, pretty much all together. But how can we talk about race and racism without talking about capitalism? How can you really do it?
You can't separate the two.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Woo! That's heavy. We got heavy. Well, we got like 5 more minutes left in the show.
Can we pause for station identification real quick?
Go for it.
You were listening to WHIV LP New Orleans 102.3 and WHIVFM.org/listen.
So I was actually put onto this by, if you live here in New Orleans, it's going to be some funny stuff. But if you don't, I'm still going to school you on it. We have found already, this show's been around less than a month, and we've already found our arch nemesis. They're
photo negative of Good Morning Comrade.
They're in the bizarro world of political radio here in this city. We've already found it, and we're gonna have some fun. So there is a show called The Right Chicks, where it's 2 women who sound like reactionary racist wine moms, and they talk about reactionary racist things on the radio. They are hilarious as far as they are a low cow of content to go through, and I want it with them real bad. We're gonna go to war. They really messed up. Well, let me tell you about. Okay, so I got put on this by somebody. This is one of the women runs the Forever Lee Circle Facebook group, and for people listening outside of New Orleans, what Lee Circle is a racist monument of Robert E. Lee, even though the city of New Orleans set out the Civil War, so there's no reason to even have that statue. It finally got taken down. Hopefully it will become Leah Chase Circle. God bless her soul.
I thought they needed Bruce Lee there.
Yeah, that would be great too. I'll take that. But anyway, she got kicked out of a Mardi Gras crew, and those of you who don't know what a Mardi Gras crew, it's the people you see that throw the Mardi Gras beads off the float.
You just throw plastic.
Because she was throwing Confederate flag beads off of there. So that's extra hilarious. They said, don't come back here with that racist trash.
Extra.
Did they catch her, or did they catch her beforehand?
They caught her before. No, some of them got out.
It was on Facebook. Yeah,
she posted on Facebook.
Posting it.
Yeah, some people have those beads. But they run this radio show, and literally it took me, I hope this comes through. I'm just playing it through my monitor, but literally it took me, I downloaded their show, I dropped it in 2 random places, and within 2 minutes found 2 racist reactionary things. I'm going to play them for you. Here is an epic one about where they try to describe Obamacare. This is really good.
Right.
Here we go.
They already had with Obamacare the pre-existing thing. Isn't it like...
No, I thought you couldn't do it if you had the pre-existing
If you're
thing.
terminal, that maybe you have a right to try even though you're terminal.
There it is.
We're going to get it.
Right here, right here, right here.
Read it?
Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, the Right to Try Act permits eligible patients to have access to eligible investigational drugs.
That's what it is.
Ah, that's right. Okay.
Okay.
An eligible patient is a patient who has, I think,
And has provided their legally authorized representative
Has
written
provided-
informed consent regarding the eligible investigational drug Okay.
So they can try different things, basically, then.
different treatments that haven't maybe necessarily been. Okay.
Yeah, like, I don't know, ancient Chinese medicine, choop, 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 choop.
What on earth was that? What?
Just some choops.
Choop, 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 choop. That's how we describe ancient Chinese medicine. Sophie, did you have a defense of this? I believe you did. What was it?
I was saying that maybe they were just trying to make the sound of
We're
acupuncture.
trying to take
The
everyone
sound
in
of
good faith.
acupuncture.
Take
But that
everyone in
does
good faith,
sound
right?
a little bit racist.
No, but that
Shoot.
was a. Even if that's
Shoot.
what they were going for, that was really unfortunate.
Either way.
And they should have immediately addressed it.
Let me. That's just, so I found that within 30 seconds.
The wrong chick's more like.
So expect
Brilliant.
some calls on the radio show from numerous callers from all around the city. You might hear a Gene Debs might be calling in.
Oh, is this a call-out post now?
Oh, they have a call-in show. Yeah, you might hear a Joe Chi Min might call in. Carl and his buddy Mark. I think some other ones.
I think Buddy D would call you a squirrel.
Dude.
I'm,
Do some spin kicks
I'm calling.
while
This
we're
is
at
my
it.
friend Mark.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark.
We're going to have some fun. Look forward to that very soon. And we've almost hit an hour, so let's go ahead and sign off.
Signing off.
Everybody, say bye-bye. Again, thanks for listening. You can find us anywhere podcasts are available. I mean, literally anywhere.
I just haven't had this as podcast.
Contact at goodmorningcomrade.com is how you get a hold of us through email. Also, Facebook, Twitter, all the fun stuff. And we will see you later.